Help me hit 7,000 subscribers. Support the video with a like and share your thoughts in the comments. I read everyone, thank you. My name is Mara Ellis, and if regret had a taste, mine would be bitter and metallic, like the rim of the glass I should have never lifted that night. I kept telling myself it was just one drink, a simple night out with coworkers, nothing more. But a single sentence slipped out of my mouth, and it became the crack that split my marriage straight down the middle. My husband, Alden, was the kind of man people described as gentle without calling him weak, steady without calling him boring. He was warmth in human form. Soft laughter, early morning kisses, sunflower yellow sticky notes stuck on my coffee mug. And I was the storm he learned to navigate. I never knew how much I depended on that gentle steadiness until I knocked it out of balance with my own hands. The night it happened, the air felt too heavy inside our apartment, and I needed a break. From work, from routine, maybe even from myself. When my coworker Callie invited me out for drinks, I said yes without thinking twice. Alden didn't mind, he never did. "Have fun," he said, kissing my forehead. "Text me when you're on your way home." I'd always loved the way he said that, soft and casual, like caring for me came as naturally as breathing. I wish I had stayed home. God, I wish I had. At the bar, everything felt light. I laughed too loudly, drank too quickly, and let myself relax in a way I hadn't in months. I wasn't unhappy, not really. Just restless. Restlessness is dangerous when mixed with alcohol and a loose tongue. The moment that ruined everything came out of nowhere. We were talking about long-term relationships, marriages, commitments, the usual topics tired women discuss after long workweeks. Callie joked that I'd always been the responsible one, the married woman, the taken one. And I, tipsy enough to forget the weight of my own words, laughed and said, "Sometimes I wish I'd married someone more exciting." Silence. Few gasps. Couple of raised eyebrows. Callie blinked at me. "Mara, what does that even mean?" I tried to laugh it off. "I don't know. I just mean Alden's sweet. But sometimes sweet feels predictable." Predictable. That was the word that stabbed my own heart before it ever reached his. I didn't know Rowan, my coworker from the opposite department, had walked up behind us to ask if I wanted another drink. I didn't know he had heard every word. And I definitely didn't know he was friends with Alden. The next morning felt ordinary at first. Sunlight, coffee, Alden humming while making breakfast. But underneath it all, something inside me felt twisted. A faint wrongness I couldn't name. And then, around 11, everything crashed. Alden came into the living room holding his phone. His face wasn't angry. Anger would have hurt less. No, his expression was something quieter, something that looked a lot like understanding, the kind a person arrives at only after something inside them breaks. "Mara," he said softly, "can we talk?" My stomach dropped. Of course, what's wrong? He sat down next to me, but not close enough to touch. He placed his phone on the coffee table. "I got a message from someone named Rowan." Every breath left my lungs at once. "He said you were out last night." "Yes," I whispered. "We talked about that." He also said, Alden swallowed hard, eyes glistening but steady, "that you wish you'd married someone more exciting." The room spun, not because I was drunk this time, but because I was sober enough to feel everything. "Alden, I didn't mean it," I said quickly. "It was stupid. It was just a joke," he finished for me, voice quiet. "A drunken comment." I nodded, desperate. Yes, exactly that." He looked down at his hands. It didn't sound like a joke. The thing about Alden was that he never raised his voice. He didn't need to. His pain had a way of speaking softly, like a wound covered in a thin layer of calm. That was what made it unbearable. If he'd yelled, I could have defended myself. If he'd accused me, I could have argued. But this quiet heartbreak, it stripped me of every excuse. "Alden, I swear I love you," I whispered. He nodded once, slowly. "I know you do." He paused. "But do you respect me?" My throat closed. I reached for him, but he gently pulled his hand back, the movement small but sharp enough to cut me. "You hurt me, Mara," he said, voice trembling. "And the worst part is, I don't think you even realized how easily you said it." I felt tears burning behind my eyes. "Please just let me explain." "I'm listening," he whispered. "I'm always listening." But for the first time since I'd known him, I couldn't find a single sentence that made me feel worthy of the man sitting in front of me. Alden waited, still, patient, unbearably gentle, while my mind scrambled for an explanation that didn't make me sound like a stranger to myself. But every word I reached for felt thin and breakable. "I was drunk," I finally whispered. His nod was slow. "I know. And I didn't mean it." Another nod. "I know that too." Then he looked at me with a softness so painful it almost felt cruel. "But you still said it." That was the moment I realized drunkenness doesn't create truth, but it loosens the parts we hide. And Alden wasn't asking whether I meant it. He was asking whether the thought had ever lived inside me at all. I took a shuddering breath. "Alden." I was venting. I was tired. "I shouldn't have." "I'm not asking you to justify it," he said gently. "I'm trying to understand what I'm not giving you." The humility in that sentence tore through me. He was hurting, but he wasn't looking for a villain. He was trying to fix something I had broken. It made my chest ache with a mix of guilt and love so tangled I couldn't separate one from the other. "You give me everything," I whispered. "Then why did you wish for someone else?" I wanted to say I didn't. I wanted to insist it was a meaningless moment I barely remembered. But Alden deserved honesty, not the convenient kind, the real kind. So I exhaled every ounce of defensiveness left in me. "I didn't wish for someone else," I said. "I wished for a version of myself I never became." His brows pulled together slightly. "What do you mean?" "I mean," I said softly, "that sometimes I feel restless and I blame everything but myself. I call my life predictable because it's easier than admitting I'm scared I've stopped growing. And you," my voice cracked, "you're the safest, kindest part of my life." But instead of appreciating that, I made it sound like a flaw. Alden closed his eyes for a moment, absorbing my words. When he opened them, something in his gaze had shifted. Not forgiveness, not anger, but the quiet ache of a person deciding whether to stay wounded or start healing. "I never wanted to be the reason you felt stuck," he said, voice barely above a whisper. "You're not." I reached for his hand again. This time, after a hesitant pause, he let me hold it. "Alden, I swear, you are the best thing about my life." I was stupid, careless, insecure. But not once, not 1 second, have I ever wished for another man instead of you. He studied my face like he was searching for cracks in the words. And then, finally, he nodded. It was small, but it wasn't nothing. His voice trembled as he spoke. "It's going to take me time. I'll give you all the time you need." Silence filled the room. Not cold, not distant, just fragile. Like we were both holding something delicate between us. After a long moment, Alden breathed out slowly. "Do you know what hurt the most?" "No," I whispered. "Tell me." "You said it so easily," he said. "Like the thought lived somewhere comfortable inside you. Like it wasn't shocking to say it. That's what scared me." My heart sank. "Understood." It wasn't the sentence. It was the effortlessness. "Alden," I said, voice shaking. "That version of me, the careless one, that's not who I am with you. It was a moment I'll spend years regretting, but it isn't my truth. My truth is that I love you. Deeply. Quietly. Constantly." His eyes softened again, but a tired sadness remained. "I know you love me. But love doesn't erase words." "I know," I whispered. He looked down at our intertwined hands and brushed his thumb across my fingers. "I want us to work. Really do. But I need honesty from you, even about the parts of yourself you don't like." "I'll give you that," I promised. "Every day." For the first time since the conversation started, he leaned slightly toward me. just enough for his shoulder to rest against mine. The contact was barely there, but it felt like a lifeline. "I'm not leaving," he murmured. "I'm not giving up. I just need to rebuild the part of me that believed I made you happy without question." His vulnerability cracked something inside me. I placed my hand gently against his cheek, and he didn't pull away. "Alden," I said, "you make me happy in ways I never even learned to say out loud." "Messed up. I know that. But I'm not going anywhere. And I'll spend however long it takes proving that to you." He didn't smile, not fully. But he exhaled, slow, heavy, releasing something he had been carrying alone. Then he rested his forehead against mine, closing his eyes like he was letting himself believe me again, inch by inch. And in that quiet moment, I realized something I'd forgotten somewhere along the routine of life. Love doesn't die in one blow. But trust can fracture with a single careless sentence. And rebuilding it, piece by delicate piece, would be the real work of loving him.